What's going on? 2023 is near the end, and I figured I'd do something different. This is figure of the year, after all. So I got my friend Jimmy, who used to edit a lot of my videos, but he's a busy man these days. Well, he can allow me to do fancy stuff like figure of the FOTY in big letters. And hopefully he did that. I don't look like a freaking maniac otherwise. But this is a big deal. And I've said that movies and video games, you know, this is subjective, objective, whatever. You may think they're still really good. I think they're teetering off, but I think toys are still peaking. And I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we got a freaking short round figure. Short round. We got a Bobby figure from Dungeons and Dragons, a cartoon that has been dead for 30 years. We got a freaking Val Kilmer figure in 2023. Who would think we'd get a Val Kilmer action figure? We got a guy I like to call Christopher Walken for some reason, but it's William Dafoe. And not just big name products. Even Super 7 cranked out stuff that is original, like the worst here. Cosmic Legions, Mythic Legions, Valiverse, Boss Fight Studios. The list just goes on and on. I could probably make a top 100 video.
Pump your brakes, kid.
That would get a little boring.
Yeah.
So I'm going to narrow it down to my top 10 figures of the year, and this is how I tried to do it. First of all, they were figures from the lines that I collect, obviously, that I'm really a big fan of. So I try to take the best 5 from each line that I collect and I talked about all year. And my stipulations usually come down to sculpt and playability, paint apps, price point, and the importance, did I say that weirdly? The importance of the figure to the toy world. And I will discuss that more in depthly, that's a word too, right? As the video goes along. So, Toy Games, Figure of the Year 2023. Let's get into it.
Hey! Oh! Toy Games! Toy Games!
So to get to 10, I'm going to pick 5 figures from each line like I mentioned, and then pick 2 from that 5, if that makes sense. And with McFarlane, which I collected so much of in the past year, I had a lot to choose from. But from the very beginning, I fell in love with this Deadman figure. And I think I'm still in love with it. But the Hawkman was really good. The Calabac Mega figure was amazing. And I know you're probably thinking, what the hell is Shazam doing there from that awful movie? Well, the movie wasn't that bad. Just think about it if you're a kid and you saw that movie and you walked into Target with your dad and you were able to get a $20 figure that looked this good after seeing the movie. I mean, it looks just like the actor, and it does all the posing you want out of a toy. And that's what I mean by playability, and that's what I mean by importance to the toy world. You can't think of it as an adult. You got to think of it as a kid seeing this figure on shelves after seeing the movie. And it's a perfect figure. But he's in my top McFarlane figures. He's not probably going to be in my top 10. So if I just got to look at these figures here, if I had to pick 2, this guy way back in February I got, and I still love this figure. He's so clean and elegant. The collar, he's going to be in my top 10. And I know it might be boring because it's Batman, but when it's one of the best Batman figures I've ever seen, doesn't it have to be on the list? And at $20, you could buy 5 of these and repaint them, give one to your kid, one to your brother, one to your mom, bury one in the sand and come back and get it 10 years from now. Such a good price point for a awesome looking Batman figure. Those 2 in the top 10. Now, Marvel Legends supposedly had a down year, but for a collector like me who hasn't been collecting them for the past, 6 years, I think they had a great year. They put in pieces that we needed to complete teams like Chode and Blob. They perfected the Wolverine figure. I'm really happy with most of my purchases from the Marvel Legends team this year, but I got to get this down to 2 figures. Green Goblin just came out, and it's been a few days since I owned him, but I had these 2 in mind, and I don't think it has changed. I've been wanting a Chode figure ever since I was younger and I had that little Toy Biz one, but I didn't want to put a Build-A-Figure on this list. And the Green Goblin, while I really like, is pricey at over $50. Wolverine is perfect, but like I said, I had to paint in that arm hair. Look at that detail in the arm hair. But sadly, I had to paint that on. And he doesn't have a grimacing face. He just kind of has he's kind of bored to be there face. The Blob, however, chef's kiss. I'm not going to do the chef's kiss because that's weird. Now, what I really like about this Blob figure is he turns up there. Blob is in the top 10. My other one, it's Bishop. He's so clean and elegant. He's pinless. Great head sculpt. Perfect body for Bishop. Everything they did to this figure, I think is top notch. Nuts? Anyway, these two are in my top 10. What I like best about Masters of the Universe, besides its mix of science fiction and sword and sorcery, is the colors. I mean, you got a great collection of blues and purples and greens and reds. It just pops off your shelf. Now, I know a few weeks ago I said this was a figure that's really good, but maybe not good enough to be in the top 10. Well, guess what? That has changed. The more I stare at this thing, the more I appreciate this head sculpt. The buck that it is on is a flawless buck. It is just such a good figure for any toy line. So, although I love Whiplash because you can interchange parts and make them look classic, I don't know. I just something about this figure I really like. I guess that something is the head sculpt. Now my other pick, even though Duncan was a sleeper with this cloth goods.
See, it's not just me.
But the guy who took everything out is going to be in my top 10. This Too Bad figure, I talked about him way back in January or February. I did some paint work on him, added some like light dry brushing to make him look a little more gold and black, weathered. He is just a really good figure. And it's two figures for the price of one. That's the joke for this video. That's it. And you're getting two figures for the price of one. Did you put the drums in? I hope you did. Now this line is near and dear to me. I got a Rascal's tattoo. When I first laid eyes on this line when I was 6 or 7, every other toy line just fell to the wayside, and it was all about G.I. Joe. This Christmas will be coming up on the 20th anniversary. I got the G.I. Joe whale for Christmas, which getting that whale, I got the whale and the Sega Genesis on the same day. And I'm telling this story because the whale was the only toy that could keep me away from the power of blast processing with Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I would play Sonic and get bored with Sonic, right back to playing with the whale and the Joes. And this was the last hurrah for keeping me away from video games, was G.I. Joe. And then the next year, or maybe the year after, I had the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, like Biggie Smalls said in the song. And that was a wrap for toys for a little while. I'm rambling.
Spit that shit out, man!
Long story short, I love G.I. Joe, and it was tough to pick. There was so many G.I. Joe releases, even though they didn't pump out complete waves, which is odd. The way they put out G.I. Joe figures is odd, but they're always on Big Bad Toy Store, so I was able to get every one I wanted. This was tough, but I knew as soon as I got him, Rock and Roll was going to be on that list, because the devil horns make this figure. The devil horns give this figure so much character. I mean, it says it in his name. He's rocking the horns. He loves rock and roll. It is so smart, but so simple. And the skull being there is a nice touch, where you could put the skull to his face. That's kind of like a chick tattoo, but still, it's badass for this figure. Now, obviously I love Bazooka. I cosplayed him before when I was in shape. It was something I thought I was going to do over and over again, but then I had a kid and started to fall in love with fast food, so I can never play Bazooka again, but I have him in toy form. And I love this little figure. This is one of my favorites as a kid. I love football. something about a guy running around in a football jersey on the battlefield. I always thought was so cool. And then, of course, they made Refrigerator Perry, who also had a football jersey. So I would team them up. Hopefully, they get around to making a fridge figure. These are two... Really, I could have thrown a dart. Did you hear? I almost threw up, it sounded like. I could have thrown a dart at my G.I. Joe collection, and any figure that the dart hit could have been in this top 10. I really think the line is getting better and better. Sure, some of the accessories are gummy, but I don't mind that because they don't break. These two are going in the top 10, baby. And if I had to overall pick a company that had the best year as far as sculpts, designs, new characters, quietly, it is Neca. I know they put out a lot of horror stuff, and if you go to Target, it looks a lot of the same. Horror and Ninja Turtles. But in between that, there is nothing better out there than this Warduke. He came out way back in January, I believe, and everyone has this as, you know, the possible figure of the year, and I'm no different. Warduke is one of them toys, the old LJN one I'm speaking of. He was one of them figures that every kid just had. I don't know why. You know, he was only in the cartoon a few times, but every kid had a Warduke figure. It was really strange. I was no different. This is so perfect for an updated version of a little tiny toy. Sculpt work, paint, everything, it has it all. He's in that top 10. The next one's going to be tough, and I'm moving him to the side because this Triceratops, for a big chunky figure, does so many cool things. Ingenuity is the word. The tongue is articulated. Never seen an articulated tongue. I don't know how important that is for a toy, but I thought it was really cool. I could also just throw Strongheart in there because he's terrific as well. Donatello, the Invisible Man version. I love how this is clear. I actually really like this stupid clear shell for no reason with the pizza in it. Sometimes you just got to do things for fun, and I feel it did that. But as ugly as this Predator is, there's a lot of things going on from a design standpoint. Sculpt is there, paintwork is there, design. The metal backpack was really slick, so it doesn't get in the way of anything. Smooth joints. You can get into a lot of really good poses. Everything just works. It's like I'm Todd Howard talking about Bethesda games. Well, everything does work with this figure. So these two are going in my top 10 for NECA. I don't know why I did that. Is that a thing people do? This is my miscellaneous group that are going to hit the top 10. This is because I didn't collect enough of them. Mostly the Black Series I got were older ones. I got Loose, Super 7, you know, I got the Biggie, and my other Super 7 stuff I got, I'm not a fan of. This was my only Mythic this year, and he's great. This took some balls from Hasbro to put, this wasn't on the box, but it was on the back, to put a melted freaking face with blood and that symbol in the hand that looks like some joint of the devil cult shit. That took some balls, and that is a great little evil ass figure. This is a good lineup, and this is going to be tough. It's going to be so tough that I want 2 of these in the top 10, but then we're at 12. So I'm going to pull a wild card. And I'm picking the 2 Masterverse figures out of the lineup. As much as I enjoy those figures, I'm going to kick 2 of them out and pull 2 of these in. And, man, this is hard. This is on the spot. I really thought I was going to go with Superman because I love Superman. But sometimes it's not about, you know, don't go with your heart, go with your mind. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I gotta say, I really like this damn Crow figure. And it's the little detail with the bullet going through the hand. And it's hard to get cloth goods to scale well to a small figure. And Mesco nailed it here. And this figure is just so damn fun. Are we ever going to see a articulated Biggie Smalls figure again? And when I said importance to the figure world, the toy universe, to get a rapper that's so popular and that was so loved is cool. And unrelated, I mean, it is related. I didn't really plan this. Both these two men are unfortunately gone. So I don't know. That was kind of dour. I don't know why I said that. I just hit my brain. That's weird. And then his dad, Bruce Lee, is back there. Let's bring freaking dad in here. Jesus, this is getting really going south fast. Anyway, these two are in my top 10. Let's wrap it up. We're going to talk about the figures that made the top 10 for 2023. Let's erase all that dead shit. That's my top 10. I got here by my figures that were my favorite since the day I bought them, like Warduke, like the Crow, like Rock and Roll, Deadman. Other figures got here because of ingenuity, like the Prey figure. Biggie Smalls got here because not only is it an iconic real person, it's a fun toy too. That thing has a lot of posability, a lot of style. Before I get into like my top 3 or whatever I'm going to do, none of this is scripted. It's just from my gut feelings. I'm aware of Jada Toys. I'm aware how many of you love this toy line. And I thought I had to mention that because a lot of you are having so much fun with it. And I see it. I see why. It's a decent price, well, fairly good price point for what you get. Much cheaper than Storm Collectibles. And they're posable. They're designed well. And they look good. But I'm not... I love Street Fighter the game, especially Marvel vs. Capcom. But I don't know. I got it. I liked it. Don't feel it needs to be in a top 10. But if it is in your top 10, I get it. You probably are like, Deadman? That's weird. I don't know. Bishop? That's weird. But this is just my top 10. So, gotta get it. I gotta narrow this down before I pick a number 1. And Nightfall Batman, price point $20. One of the best Batman sculpts I've ever seen. Has to be in the top 3. He's there. Oh, just looking at these. Neca's Warduke. Not only is it important to my life, to my childhood, this will fit in with Mythic Legions. This will just look good on the shelf as a standalone figure. It just checks all them boxes, even if you don't know who that is. The sculpt work, the accessories, the shield, it poses well enough for what's going on. I got this guy way back in February, and not many things have topped him. Now, I love that Blob figure. I love Rock and Roll. That Prey figure is super nice, designed really well. But Mr. Draven here. I mean, look at that. You know, what's funny is I really thought the Mesco Superman was going to do it. I love this figure all year. When I started messing with him last night and really looking at him, I just fell in love with it again. And that's how it made this top 3. I knew it was going to make the top 10. I didn't think it would do this well. And it almost freaking is going to win. But he's not. It's going to go to Warduke for Figure of the Year. Let the confetti fly. I don't know what happens now. I think NECA contacts me, and I'm now a shill, and I get free toys. That's my Figure of the Year. Number 2 would be the Crow. Number 3 is Nightfall Batman. Number 4 would probably be Blob. If not that matters. That is it. That's my Figure of the Year. I highly recommend this figure. This line is continuing to grow. It'll be around 10 figures. You won't be disappointed. At a price point of $35, the accessories you get, the sculpt work that's there, has enough posability to get it in a good action pose. This is a guy in armor after all. Oh, half armor. In Warduke, there's Mumra, there's Skeletor, there's Cobra Commander, there's Megatron. But right underneath those big, huge, evil characters, he might not have had the TV presence, but as far as a toy, like I said earlier, every kid had this figure. So sometimes designs are just timeless. And would I've liked to have given it to a new design from a new company? Maybe next year. Maybe I see a lot of stuff from Cosmic Legions that is going to look fantastic next year. And that would be awesome to give it to something brand new that's new to the world. But it just is what it is. This Warduke figure is that good. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, tell me I'm wrong, tell me you're effing crazy. I don't care. This is subjective to what's important to you. For me, it was reliving my childhood through a new design of an old beloved character. That's it. Take care. Have fun. See you, I guess, in January. That's crazy. 2024. What will it bring? Toy Gains here with the man, Randy Falk. My figure of the year is Neca Warduke. But I want you, something that's not Neca, your figure of the year. You have one?
Probably something from G.I. Joe Classified.
Yeah.
I'm an old school Joe guy. I've been digging that line. I'm going to go with Rock and Roll because the box art looks like Zach Wilde.
Yeah, yes.
Intentional or otherwise. That's my guy. It looks like him with the long blonde beard. And he's got the horn.
The Devil Horns make that figure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're really with the skull on the hand.
Yeah. So I'll go with Rock and Roll.
You heard it here on Toy Games. Randy Falk. Thank you, man. Randy, thank you, bro.